Thank you and welcome for joining us for our 2025 candidate workshop via Zoom today. We have an hour scheduled, and I think we'll be able to get through all the information we want to provide to you within that hour, and then have enough time for questions at the end as well. But we're going to stop the recording before we get into the questions. So with that, my name is Duncan Clausen. I am the Elections and Voter Outreach Specialist here at Snohomish County. And joining me today is Mary Center. She's the Elections Information and Design Specialist. So we're going to kind of pass the mic back and forth here a little bit. And get you all the information you need to file your candidacy. So again, just a little housekeeping. Folks, please remain muted and have your video turned off. We don't need your video on for this part. We do ask that you use the Q&A feature to ask questions. And again, we're going to be recording this, and we'll post it to Zoom, we'll post the recording onto the Snohomish County Elections website either later this week or next week. All right, so here's kind of our roadmap for the conversation today. So we'll start checking these pieces off as we go forward. All right, so maybe you're just here for information and you've not decided to run yet, but we do have a few things for you to consider before you run for office. That's going to be the time commitment, which can be very depending on the office and the district, and your public life. You're going to be more of a visible presence in your community when you're running for office, or once you take an elected office, should you win. So, be prepared potentially for supermarket conversations or people recognizing you out and about. I will say just the other day, I was out at the gym and saw Snohomish County Councilman Jared Mead. I decided not to say hi, but sure enough, you just start to see the people, the elected officials in your community when you're out and about. So that could be you should you decide to run and win that role. And then also, some districts will have more than one position on the ballot. So if you have a city or county council, there can be positions, 1, 3, and 7. And if you plan to run against a specific incumbent, just be sure to select the same position number as the person you want to run against, or for the position you're interested in running in. All right, so if we haven't scared you away, you're still going to run for office, and now you're going to choose which office you want to run for. So when you're choosing an office, we have good information for you in this How to Run for Office 2025 candidate guide. You can find all of the scheduled races there. When I added everything up, including the Snohomish County Charter Review Commission, there's about 193 offices to be filled this election cycle. So plenty of opportunity there, depending on where you live. The guide here also has all the information on how much it costs to file, who is currently in the office or who the incumbent is, and a little information about what the officials do. You can also see which office you qualify for by visiting votewa.gov, just a great resource in general at votewa.gov. You can register to vote, you can update your voter registration information, but also on there you can see who your elected officials are. And that'll give you a sense of which districts you're in, which should let you know which offices you qualify for running for. We do have a note that you can only file to run for one office in a given year. But there is one exception to that, and that exception is the Charter Review Commissioner. So if you are running for a city council position and you also wanted to run for water district, you're not able to do that. That's, you're trying to run for 2 elected offices at the same time. However, if you wanted to run for city council position and also run to be on the Charter Review Commission, you are allowed to do that. So we'll talk a little bit more about the details of how to file your candidate filing, how to get yourself in the local voters pamphlet, all of that detail. We're going to get through that in this presentation, but just wanted to give you some of that information at the outset. So just a snippet inside the guidebooks. This is a sample. And again, like I said, there's about 193 offices up for election this year. And inside the guidebook, you'll get the brief description, any special requirements. Most positions are going to have some sort of requirement, whether it just be that you are 18 and live within the district, or have lived within the district for a certain period of time. All of that information is contained in the guidebook. And so here's just a clip. You can see City of Arlington, Council Position 1. It's a 4-year regular term, who the incumbent is, and what the filing fee is. And that filing fee for a large number of positions is going to be 0. There's not a filing fee for positions that don't have a salary. However, if there is a filing fee, then that position has a salary, and the filing fee is 1% of the annual salary for that position. So it looks like the City of Arlington here has about a $27,000 a year salary. I don't know if that gets adjusted if you were to, miss city council meetings or something to that effect. But if you were looking at, county council or some other positions, they can be up over $1,000 because they're $100,000 a year salary for those positions. So keep an eye on that. Just so you have that information available for you when you are completing your filing, or if that influences what position you want to file for. So once you've decided to run, you've chosen an office, now you get to declare your candidacy. And doing that does, one, there's a number of ways to declare your candidacy. We'll go through a number of those ways. But once you publicly announce or declare your candidacy, there are some requirements, and those requirements come from the Washington State Public Disclosure Commission. They're the group that handles campaign finance rules and laws in Washington State. We are not going to dig into financial disclosure information today, but hopefully you've seen we do have a meeting coming up on April 26th. That's a Saturday at the Snohomish County campus. We've invited a presenter from the Public Disclosure Commission to join us and give a presentation to anyone who's interested in our community, but we want to have, the Snohomish County candidates be able to get that information from the PDC, be able to ask questions. So whether it's you as a candidate, or if you have a treasurer or other campaign person who you'd like to join and get that information, please come join us at that meeting. But I will also say the PDC has a great website, tons of information available online if you want to get a head start looking at what those obligations are once you file, or rather declare your candidacy. And so declaring your candidacy and filing for office are two distinct activities. You can declare your candidacy today. So you can do that by announcing it publicly. You can hold a kickoff event, send out a press release, do a social media announcement, or file for office during candidate filing week. Additionally, if you accept a contribution or spend money for your campaign, if you reserve a space or purchase advertising to promote your candidacy, or if you authorize anyone else to do one of those things, you have declared your candidacy publicly. Again, if you state publicly that you're seeking office, or you file that declaration with the PDC, those are all actions you can take to declare your candidacy. But you can do every one of those things. You can start fundraising, you can buy the yard signs, you can do all the work starting today, but candidate filing week is May 5 through 9, and we'll go through the dates and the deadlines and all that information. But if you don't file for that office during candidate filing week, you will not be on the ballot. So you can do all the activities you want to get your name out there, to do the fundraising, spend money on campaign supplies. But if you don't file with us, you're not going to be on the ballot. And kind of goes the other way. you can file with us and do nothing, and your name's going to be on the ballot. But it might be hard for people to know who you are if you're not doing some of those campaign activities. All right, just to give you that information on screen, once you declare your candidacy, there are legal requirements. Again, you can join us at the PDC compliance training, or you can find their resources online at this calendar of events here at the URL shown on the slide. All right, so up next, Mary is going to take over and walk through all the steps for filing for office and submitting your candidate statement. And then we'll go through a few more things to try and help you be as successful as you can be as a candidate. And yeah, we are just cruising. We're doing great on time today.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Mary, and I coordinate with candidates as we navigate through the election cycle. So if you decide to file, you'll probably get emails from me as well as from the automated system that are auto-generated when you file. Next slide. So candidate filing week is May 5th through 9th, and the filing portal opens at 8 a.m. May 5th and is 24 hours a day until 5 p.m. on May 9th. And there are several ways to file, and you can find all those in the candidate guide, but we do encourage you, if at all possible, to file online using the online portal because it's a more efficient and streamlined process. Even if you come in to file with us in the office, we will have you file online on one of our kiosks. And if you need help with that, we're happy to help walk you through all of that. The link to find the place to find the link to file is on our website at snoco.org/elections on the Run for Office page, where you'll also find a lot of good information about filing, and you'll also find the link to that candidate guide there as well. So that's a really good resource for you. You can go visit that now just to see where to find that link when it's time to file. So when you file, you're going to get an email from us stating that your filing has been received. However, you may not get approved right away because even though it's a 24-hour filing system, we do have to personally approve the filing. So if you filed late at night, you wouldn't receive your approval until sometime the next morning when we've come into the office and we've started working through those. And it can take, a couple hours for us to get through them if there were quite a few overnight. So generally by about 10 o'clock, we'll get through all of those. And I encourage you to not wait till the very last minute, because if you have technical difficulties or something, we're not going to be able to have time to, work through those and get you filed before the deadline, which you do actually have to have your filing absolutely completed and submitted by 5 p.m. If you're in the process of filing when 5 p.m. hits, you will not be able to complete your file. Excuse me, you'll not be able to complete your filing. So I encourage you to do it as early as possible. I know a lot of people like to strategize and see who has filed and wait to the last minute so they can make an informed decision on which office or which position they'd like to file for. But you just want to make sure that you give yourself plenty of time in case there are any kind of technical glitches along the way. So another thing that I want to mention is that you're only going to be eligible to file for the offices that correspond with your voter registration, where you're registered to vote. So it's a good idea to go now to the voter portal at votewa.gov and just to verify that your address is up to date, that you haven't moved and forgotten to update your voter registration. Once you file for office, if you've accidentally filed at your old address, you wouldn't be able to get any filing fees back if you had to change that. And also, it's a good idea to do that now because if once you do that through the voter portal, it goes into a queue and our staff needs to go work through those. So it could take about 24 hours to get that done. So it's a good idea to make sure you get that done ahead of time, so that can be updated before you go to file. Okay, next slide. So once you find that link and you click the link, you're going to come to the candidate filing portal. That's going to look like this, and it's going to have you log in the same way you log in to the voter portal, with your name, first and last name as you're registered to vote, and your date of birth. And it's important that you enter your name exactly as you are registered. For example, if your name is Robert Smith, but you go by Bob, if you put in Bob Smith, it's not going to find you if you're registered as Robert. It's pretty picky about how things are entered. And that is the same with hyphenated names and things like that. Sometimes it can be difficult to find yourself on there. If you do go to put your name in and you're not able to pull up your registration, you can give us a call and we can help you walk you through that. Okay, next slide. All right, so once you log in, it's going to give you your name and your registration address and where you're registered, and a mailing address if you have one. So you just want to check again to make sure that that's your current up-to-date registration residential address, and click verify. And again, you don't want to do update if there's a discrepancy, because that's going to put you into a queue and you're not going to be able to file for office at this time. So if you log into this and you realize, okay, my address is not correct, just give us a call and we can update that on the phone and get it squared away right now so that you can go ahead and continue to register. Next slide. Okay, so the next screen is going to look like this, which I think is really confusing because I would expect to see some offices here, but they're not going to populate until you click Create New. Next slide. All right, so then you're going to come to a drop down and it's going to have the district type, which would be fire, school, park and rec, whatever the district type is. And you can click on that and it'll drop down any, pick that particular district type, and then it'll come up with the offices. And then we go to the next slide. Okay, and then you want to find the office that you're interested in and the position number that you're interested in, and click Start. If there's only one office, you still need to click Start, or it's not going to be able to choose and go forward. Okay, so then the next screen is where you're going to enter your contact information and your ballot name. In the left two boxes, that's where you'll enter your email address and your phone number where we're going to contact you. And this is really, really important because we're going to send you all of those emails out of the automated system to this email address. If there's any kind of problem with your filing, we're going to call on this phone number and get that straightened out. So it's really important that you use an email that you're going to be able to check and a phone number that you're going to be able to answer. You don't want to have your mailbox full so that we can't get a hold of you or something like that. Okay, and then the next field is your ballot name, and this is how you want your name to appear on the ballot. And this is a little bit flexible. Again, if your name is Robert Smith, you can put Robert Smith. You can put Bob Smith, you can put Robert Bob Smith, you can put Skippy Smith, if that's what you go by. The only requirement here is that you use your last name as you're registered to vote. And then in the next fields, these are not required to file because the Secretary of State's office does not require these fields. However, we in Snohomish County Elections do require that you provide a campaign phone number or email so that the voters can contact you. And we will publish one or both of these in the voters pamphlet. So we do ask that you provide one or both of these in this field. However, if you're going to put together a Gmail account or something specific to your campaign and you haven't done that yet, you can enter that later. You'll have the opportunity to enter that again when you submit your voters statement and photo. So you could leave that blank at this time if you want to. And then the mailing address, the state does require you provide a mailing campaign address. So you can click that box and it'll populate your residential address, or you can provide a different address that could be a PO box or something that would be more private so that people don't have that information. That being said, when you're filing for a public office, all of your information is going to be available on a public records request, but it wouldn't be right there where everybody can see it. This will be printed in the or appear in the online guide, and it'll also appear in the list of candidates who filed. So if you'd rather use a PO box to kind of protect your information, you can enter that here. And you can always update contact information at any time going forward. You're not able to change anything in your statement or anything like that, or anything other information with your filing, but you can always update the contact information. So all the way up until we send the voters pamphlet to the printer, you could give us a call and say, oh, I just got a new phone number. Can you add that or change that or remove it or whatever? We can do that. Okay, next slide. All right, so in this election, there's only one office that is a partisan office, and that's county council. So if you do file for county council, the screen will come up and it'll give you the opportunity to declare your party preference. And even though it's a partisan office, you don't have to declare a party preference. You can check that box, and your filing, instead of saying prefers whatever party, it'll just say states no party preference. And you can be flexible about what that is. You can say Republican or Democrat or Democratic. So make sure that you enter it exactly as you want it to appear. Next slide. I think we already went over most of this. All right. So then once you've entered all of that information, it's going to bring up the summary, and you'll want to just, again, verify that you selected the right office, the right position, that you have entered your ballot name exactly as you want it to appear, and that there's no typos. We have people who have put their incorrect name in there, spelled their name wrong, and that's embarrassing, I guess. So, and then we will try to call you if there's something that we question, but it's a good idea to double check that just in case. And all the information as well. And then if you're sure everything looks good, you want to click submit now. And it will ask you to read the oath. And this is basically saying that you're agreeing to file for this office and that you meet the requirements and all of that good stuff. And you will click on that. And if your office has a filing fee, it will bring you to the payment screen. And you'll enter your credit card information. Now, if you don't have a credit card or you don't want to use a credit card, you do have the option of paying in person by cash or check. If you choose to do that, you'll want to click that blue line on the top, and you will just, your filing will sort of get set aside, and it will be waiting for you to come down to our office to pay those filing fees. Next slide. And it will come up with this one saying that you're going to come in later. And you do need to come in before 5 p.m. on the Friday of filing week to pay those fees, or your filing is not going to get processed. And we do want you to be successful. So if you it gets to be around noon on Friday and we haven't seen you, we will give you a call. We'll send you an email. We'll try to track you down and make sure that you are aware that that hasn't been paid. Sometimes people will have their campaign manager come and do it, or think they did, and maybe they didn't know they were supposed to do that. So we do try to get you in here if we haven't seen you by the end of, it's getting close. Okay, next slide. All right, so then you're going to come up with the confirmation that you have filed, and there's an opportunity to print the screen. I highly recommend that you do that because sometimes there are glitches in the system, and if your filing disappears, we can't find it. Where is it? It's not there. You can present this to us and as proof that you did file it did go through, and we'll have the Secretary of State's office investigate and try to find out what happened. And if need be, you would be able to file again. But without this, if they can't find it, there's no proof that you filed, and then we're in a pickle. So definitely print this, screenshot it, whatever you need to do. Make sure that you have that available if we need it. Okay. I did want to mention that if you file for office and you don't withdraw by the withdrawal deadline, which is 5 p.m. on Monday the 12th, your name will be on the ballot. You filed, you paid your filing fee, you didn't withdraw, your name's going to be on the ballot no matter what. The law requires a court order for us to be able to remove a name from the ballot. So definitely want to give it some serious thought and make sure that you do want to do this, because once that filing withdrawal deadline has passed, we can't take you off the ballot. So in review, next slide. You want to review your filing, make sure everything is spelled correctly, make sure that you pay that filing fee either by credit card when you file, or come in and see us before 5 p.m. on the Friday the 9th. And you'll get that email saying that your filing has been received. You'll get an email saying that it's been approved when that happens. And then about 15 minutes later, you'll get another email from the system giving you information on how and when to submit your candidate statement and photo. The deadline for that is May 20th. Whether you're in the primary or the general, the deadline is May 20th. So that's really important to keep in mind, have on your calendar. And sometimes those emails will go into spam. So if you lost it, can't find it, didn't get it, and your candidacy has been approved, give us a call and we can resend that. And then you'll also get emails every time somebody else files for the same office you filed for. Does anybody have any questions so far about filing? You want to unmute yourself and ask now while we're here before we move on? Or put it in the chat. I don't know if we have the chat
we have
available.
the Q&A open. And Mary, I had asked them all to just put them in the Q&A, and we'll go through them all kind of after we stop recording.
Oh, okay.
The presentation.
Okay,
so there's
good.
a couple in there right now, but yeah, we'll get through those at the end. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I will just move along then. Okay. One more thing. So after filing week has ended at 5 o'clock on Friday the 9th, there's a couple things that we're going to do. We're going to look through all the filings, and we're going to put people into different categories, whether they'll be in the primary or whether they'll move directly onto the general. You'll be in the primary if either you filed for a partisan office, which again, that's going to be Snohomish County Council. Partisan offices always appear in the primary ballot, even if there's only one person who filed. Or if there are 3 or more candidates who filed for the office, you'll be in the primary. Everybody else goes on to the general or skips the primary. And there are 2 offices that never appear on the primary, regardless of how many people file, and that is Park and Recreation Commission offices and the Charter Review Commissioner office. Those do not ever appear on the primary; they just go right to the general. And then we'll send you an email, let you know, so you know what to expect. And that could change. If you got an email saying that you're going to be in the primary and there were 3 people, and somebody withdraws on Monday before the deadline, then there's only 2 and you won't be in the primary after all, but we'll let you know if that happens. The other thing that we do on Friday is we do the lot draw for ballot order. And how we do that is the League of Women Voters comes in and helps us with this. We put little Scrabble tiles in a bingo spinner and we redraw the alphabet. So whatever tile comes out first, whether it be L would be the first letter of the alphabet, and anybody with the last name L would be above whoever, the other people that come after that. And that's how the names will be ordered on the ballot for the primary. And then for those folks who are in the primary, whoever gets the most votes in the primary would be first on the general ballot, and the next person would be second. People who are not in a primary will be ordered according to lot draw in the general election. Okay, so you decided to run, you filed for office, the deadline to withdraw comes and goes, and you don't withdraw. And now you need to think about what you want to have in the voters pamphlet. And we will send you that email with the link to submit, but you'll want to kind of have some things ready to go before you get started with that. Now, the voter pamphlet is really, really important. A lot of voters are not going to know anything else about you other than what they read in the voters pamphlet. So we highly encourage you to participate in this. It's free. It's really, really important. It's kind of like, if you're filing for a job and the voters are the hiring manager, and this is your resume and cover letter. They need to have this information so they know who you are and what your experience is and how, what you plan to do in the job and that sort of thing. So really, really important that that information is in here. If voters open that pamphlet and they see 2 candidates and one has a statement and the other doesn't, they get really upset. They're like, I don't know how to compare. I don't know what is this person. I don't know what, and they call us and they get mad about why aren't there 2 statements in here so I can read them both. So we definitely encourage you to participate in this. Even if you just, write a few things, it's better than nothing. Okay, and again, the deadline to submit is 5 p.m. on May 20th, regardless of whether you're in the primary or the general. There you have your photo in this. You'll have biographical information. There's 4 sections. You'll have 100 words combined for biographical information. You'll have elected experience, other professional experience, education and community service, and you can use those 100 words however you like within those 4 categories. You can choose not to use all 4 categories if you like. If you just want to talk about your elected experience and nothing else, that's fine. It would just say no information submitted under each of the other headers. So in the submission portal here, you have the opportunity to submit a photo or not on the top. And then you'll have the 4 text boxes for your biographical information, and it will count. It'll keep track of your 100 words within all 4 boxes as you go along. We do have voters pamphlet administrative rules that govern what can and cannot be in the voters pamphlet, and formatting requirements and things like that. That is available on that Run for Office page as well. I encourage you to review that before you get ready to compose your statement. It'll give you information on what is allowed and not allowed. For example, we don't allow bullets and lists and things like that. And statements need to be in paragraph form. And you get like 4 paragraphs for the statement, and it talks about what's allowed with photos as well, no hats and sunglasses and things like that. So that's really good to review before you get going, so you don't find that you've done something that isn't allowed. Okay, next slide. So I talked a little bit about this, how you can choose to submit a photo or not. If you don't submit a photo, it'll just have like a silhouette saying no photos submitted. And again, you can choose not to submit a statement or biographical information, and it'll say no information submitted on all of the categories. But again, we encourage you not to do that. Okay, next slide. Just want to talk a little bit about photos. Um, Probably for these local offices, you're not going to have the budget or the desire to go out and get a professional headshot, but you're certainly welcome to do that. We do just require a head and shoulders shot. You don't have to do any changing to black and white or any particular cropping. We'll do that when we get the photo from you. But we do ask that it's just you and not your dog and your family and your car, because we'll have to contact you to get something different from you if that happens. But just a little bit about thinking about if you're going to have somebody take a picture of you, you want to just keep some things in mind. Like this is a really good picture in a lot of ways. He looks professional. He has a nice smile. But you can see that there's the glare of the sun has sort of washed out his face, and it's got kind of a distracting background, and it's a little bit not not sharp. So in contrast, next slide. This is probably a professional shot, but you can see that it's kind of the tone is more even and the background is blurred and it's very sharp. And this is going to produce really well on the newsprint. So a little bit about file size. We don't have any specific requirements about file size. Like 300 dpi is pretty standard if you can. You just don't want to send a really, really small file because it's just going to be so blurry, it won't be usable. But if there are any issues with anything that you submitted, we will get a hold of you and let you know. Okay, so this is just kind of showing you what all the fields are in that submission portal. You've got your experience, other professional experience, education, community service, 100 words combined for those. And then next slide. And then you've got your statement, 200 words. Again, using, maybe I didn't mention this, italics is what we use for emphasis. If you want to emphasize certain words, you can use italics, those are allowed. And for paragraphs, paragraph form, and it will count the 200 words for you on that. So I mentioned that if you were going to get a Gmail account for your campaign, or maybe you wanted to get a specific phone number, or you're getting your website set up and you didn't have it at the time of filing, you do have the opportunity to enter that here. And we do require either a phone number or an email at minimum. So please provide it here if you didn't already. And again, if you still don't have it ready to go, you can give us a call as soon as that's ready. But it would be preferred if you could get it in here when you're doing this submission. Next slide. This again showing how that looks. All right, so then you're going to submit when you're all finished. Another little tip, when you're getting your statement ready, it's a really good idea to get that all prepared ahead of time and have a person or two review it for you and make sure you didn't have any typos or maybe a double word or something like that. Get it just really super polished so that it's completely ready to go before you start this process. And then you can just copy and paste and you won't have to worry about reviewing it at this time. Once it has been submitted to us, you're not able to make any changes, and we're not going to go in and edit for typos and things like that. It will appear however it was submitted. So it's important to make sure that everything is perfect as you submit it here. Right. So then once you click that submit button, you will see that it has been submitted. And next screen. And it'll show you a little preview about how it will look. So you can again review, get your piece of paper or whatever you had and make sure that everything looks exactly as you anticipated, that you didn't forget to copy a line or a sentence or a paragraph or something. And again, now you have the opportunity to print that summary. Very, very important. Print that summary, save it, screenshot it, something in case there's any kind of an issue. When you get your voters pamphlet proof from us, you can compare that with this. And if you see any kind of problems, you can say, wait, this is what I submitted and this is not what it looks like. So you would give us a call and show us this and we can say, oh, yes, you're right. Let me fix that. So very important that you keep a copy of that just in case there's any kind of issues in the layout process. Okay, so if you decide you don't want to submit anything in the voters pamphlet, this is what's going to show. It's still going to have your name. It's still going to have your contact information, and everything will just say no information submitted. The next screen. And if you do submit, it's going to look something like this. Our layout's going to be a little bit different this year, so it's going to be slightly different from this, but it'll basically have this kind of information out there with your photo in black and white, cropped to a head and shoulders if you submitted something other than a head and shoulders, and it'll have your contact information and all of that. Okay, so I will hand that back to Duncan.
All right. Thank you, Mary. So next, we've got everything done. You're filed and ready to go. You got your candidate statement submitted. We have some just kind of pointers, some tips, some information for getting your name out. Again, we're not campaign managers, but trying to just give you a little bit of information, help put your best foot forward. So, of course, we love our local voters pamphlet. We really encourage people to put a photo, fill out the information to the best of your ability, or what you think is important for voters to understand about you. And I will just say, not that we are totally unique in having this local voters guide here in Washington State, but not everyone has it throughout the country. Jurisdictions or county election offices don't necessarily put that information together and out to voters before each election. So it's a great resource. Our voters have come to love it. Mary said we get the phone calls if candidates don't put their information in there, and she's absolutely right. It happens every election. Other things you can do, obviously, are campaign signs. We put a little asterisk there because while we don't police campaign sign information, there are often rules regarding campaign sign size and placement. So just double check with your local jurisdiction. My understanding is like the city of Mill Creek does not allow political signs inside the city limits, so I always see them on 164th there when I'm driving by. And then WashDOT is the organization that has a lot of the information for campaign signs generally, when you're looking to put them in other areas. Obviously, parades, community meetings, a great way to get out there and talk with the electorate. Social media posts, always helpful. Voter registration drives bearing a little bit less fruit these days because we have so many easy ways to register. In particular, if you're updating your driver's license information at the Department of Licensing, they always ask you if you want to register to vote. And now with the Real ID or the enhanced IDs that require proof of citizenship, if you go to get one of those, you actually get automatically registered to vote, and we send you a notice asking if you want to continue with your registration or if you'd prefer to opt out. So we're doing great at voter registration. It's still an excellent icebreaker for candidates to be talking with the community. And what I will say is we have a great program here in Washington State called Future Voters. So at 16 years old, an individual who is otherwise eligible can register to vote in advance, and then they will become an active voter once they turn 18. So a great way to have a conversation with younger people who could be voting, or maybe their parents or friends that could already be eligible. So I just want to share that information. And then, of course, doorbelling, direct mailers, and the League of Women Voters or other community organization that you want to work with to get your name out there. Some other tools and information that could be helpful for you in running your campaign or one of your campaign associates. Voter data, always great to have a list of all the active and inactive voters, and you can get that from the Secretary of State's office. There's also ballot return statistics available online. So, for example, if you are doing a direct mailer, and somebody's already returned their ballot to us, well, you don't want to keep mailing them postcards because they've already cast their vote. So you can get the list of all the voters that have already returned their ballot. They've been marked as received, and potentially kind of strategize how you're going to use information there. Let's see, what else do we have? Voter history lists are available through Snohomish County. On the next slide here, I'll show you what our data order form looks like. But it can sometimes be helpful to try and find out if the voters in your district, do they come out and vote every single election, every single time, or do they only come out once every 4 years to vote in a presidential election? And they rarely or almost never vote in a local election. That can be helpful information. So we're able to provide that for you for a small fee. It's about $11.50 to do data request through Snohomish County. And then similarly, we have printable district and precinct maps available, and there's also interactive maps available on our website. What we don't do, though, is we're not able to create walking lists or do any sort of data manipulation or organization for you. So if you get the list of active and inactive voters from the Secretary of State's office, you're going to want to have somebody, if you don't have the skills yourself, somebody who can, manipulate that data to try and organize it in a way if you want to go knock on doors so that you can be efficient in the way that you're going and knocking on doors. All that said, here's what our voter data and map request form looks like. You can see if you're getting printed, larger printed maps, there's an additional fee there. But generally for the voter history list, it's going to be $11.50 each time you request that. But like I said, the vast majority of the information that is going to be helpful for you is available online through the Secretary of State's office. And next up, we actually have a special guest from the League of Women Voters. So I'm going to invite Karen Crowley from the League to jump on here and chat with you a little bit about how the League of Women Voters can help you with your campaign.
Thanks, Duncan. I really appreciate it. And I always like to start this by thanking all of you for being here today and for being willing to run for office, because the truth is our whole system only works when people like you are willing to step into that public arena. So thank you for that consideration. You just heard Duncan talk about all the ways that you can get your name out. And we are fortunate to have the voter's guide that is printed in Snohomish County. It's a fabulous resource. Candidate forums can also be another really solid way for you to get your platform and positions out. I want to tell you that the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. We do not support or oppose any candidates. You'll never hear the League endorse a candidate. So we do hold candidate forums for both the primary and the general election. 2 years ago, during these local elections, we held 34 different forums, and that covered about 60 plus races. So we do try to give candidates the opportunity to be seen and heard. And of course, the end point of all of that is so that we can give voters the information that they need to make their voting choices. So I wanted to let you know that we are building our list of forums that we hope to do for the primary in general. We have to wait until filing week so we can see what the primary looks like. If we choose to do or able to do a forum in your area, we will reach out to every candidate who is running for that specific position. You'll get an invitation via email from a forum coordinator at League of Women Voters. And we really encourage you to say yes. Our forums are virtual. They're all recorded online. They're then available 24/7 from our YouTube channel and as a podcast. And I can tell you 2 years ago, we had over 10,000 views in Snohomish County on our forums, as well as putting them up as radio programs as well on a local radio station. So on average, our forums get 250 to 300 views per forum. So it is another good way for you to be seen and heard. We are very interested in making a level platform for these forums. We actually build a set of questions that are relevant to the specific election. We let candidates know those questions ahead of time because we want you to be prepared to come with answers. And I'll give you a quick example about that. Many of you probably know we just went through a comprehensive plan process in all of our cities and county. We asked questions in our previous forums about the comprehensive plan. And we had candidates who came to us and said, I didn't know anything about the comprehensive plan, but because you asked the question, I learned. So we want you to be able to come and be prepared. So look for our invitations. We will reach out to you via email. We'll then follow up with text and phone. We'll use that information that you've given to the elections office to reach out to you. We hope you'll participate and encourage you to do so. The second thing I want to tell you is about Vote 411. That is the National League's organization, candidate information online platform where we ask additional questions of candidates. So in Washington State, every candidate that files will get an email from the League of Women Voters of Washington inviting you to please take a look at the questions and submit your answers. And like the voter's guide, it's another opportunity for you to go a little bit deeper into both your experience and to respond to questions about specific issues. So we encourage you to do that. And like the voter guide, if you don't answer, there'll simply be a page that says no answers received. So there's two opportunities for you to get your word out a little bit more about your candidacy. We hope you'll participate. And if you have questions at all about the League, you'll see our website there, lwvsnoho.org. In fact, if you go to our website and take a look at our candidate forum page, you can see all of the guidelines. We print them about the way we approach our forums and our policies around that. So we encourage you to do that, and we hope you will participate. So we look forward to reaching out to you. And Duncan, I think that's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it as always. And I just like to share, Snohomish County has had a partnership with the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County for over 30 years now. They do a ton of great work in getting the guide to elected officials out to various locations throughout the county, as well as voter registration forms, make sure that those stay stocked it's over 100 locations throughout the county. So they've been a great partner with us, and really appreciate all the work they do to run these amazing forums. In fact, we even promote them within the Local Voters Pamphlet, because they are great nonpartisan resource and opportunity for candidates to get their information out there. So again, thank you, Karen. Always appreciate it. Moving on, we have just a little bit more election information here, and then we'll go ahead and end the recording and dig into the Q&As. So first of all, we do have election observation information sessions. If you're not familiar, everything we do in the elections office is open to public observation. And to help facilitate that, we hold 2 information sessions, one before the August primary, one before the November general. It's about 2 hours, give or take, to get just all information from start to finish, from voter registration all the way through tabulation and results reporting. And that, if they're in person, that includes a tour of our space. We're fortunate to have a brand new 17,000 square foot ballot processing center on the Snohomish County campus, the 3rd floor. So if you ever come into the auditor's office, into the voter registration area, if you just went up to the 3rd floor in that same building, that's where we're located. We have a closed off observer loop with just giant windows. You can see the whole process. So would encourage you to check that out, either yourself or have an associate come check that out. You can come observe the process. It's always really neat to kind of see how your ballots get counted, learn a little bit about that. Ballot mailing dates. Ballots are always mailed 19 days before the election. So that's going to be July 17th for the August primary and October 16th for the November general. Just good dates to keep in mind. We also have this information available on our website. Let's see here. So yeah, that's when ballots mail. As soon as they start coming into our office through the mail or through the drop boxes, we begin processing those envelopes and ballots. So first things first, we just scan them in and we mark them as received. And so if you sign onto the voter portal after we've received your ballot, you'll be able to see your ballot status as received. We also have text messaging now that you can sign up for and get text message alerts when we've received your ballot. Also, when we've accepted your signature, or if you forgot to sign or your signature did not match, we'll send you a notification so that you can cure that issue as well. But again, we begin processing as soon as ballots start coming back. And then election night, as soon as polls close at 8 p.m., we run the results for everything we've processed up until that point, and we release our initial results sometimes around 8:05 or 8:10 on election night. And those are unofficial results, right? For the most part, they're going to include all the ballots that were returned through drop boxes or the mail the Monday before election day. We do have Dropbox closers out at all the drop boxes throughout the county, but it takes time to get those ballots back into our office and to continue with processing them. So we update the results every single day after election day with any of those ballots that have come back election night. If folks are curing their signatures, as they cure those signatures, we will then begin processing their ballots at that point in time and updating those results. So snoco.org/elections is where you can find election night results and those daily updates. When you're looking at results, this is just kind of hypothetical from a different jurisdiction here. This is a primary election, so the top 2 vote getters move on from the primary to the general election. And you can see here that Clark Simmons and Janine Luthans are the top 2 vote getters in this particular situation. So they would be the ones moving on to the general election. One thing that's come up in our in-person presentations of this is up at the top, underneath the jurisdiction name, you see that there's 2 categories: undervotes and overvotes. Undervotes are basically all of the ballots where that race was left blank. The voter voted for no candidate in that race. We call those undervotes. Overvotes are kind of the opposite. They are any of the ballots where for that race, the voter voted for more than one candidate. So that could be 2, 3, 4, just filling in all the bubbles in that particular race. Those are considered overvotes. Overvotes and undervotes are not a vote for any single candidate. That said, all the other votes on the ballot still count. You do not need to cast a vote in every single race on the entire ballot. Everything else is going to count. If you only voted for one candidate in one race, that's going to count, and then everything else you left blank is going to be reported as an undervote. And it's just another kind of transparency piece, letting you know that the total number of votes plus the undervotes plus the overvotes is going to equal the total number of ballots returned to our office for that given race. All right, so we've got through election night, all of that information. The other thing I will say, actually, before we dig into this is, if you've won in November, you will know 21 days after election day. So for this year, that's going to be November 25th. That is the day that we certify the election. So again, when you're looking at results, if they're very close, those things can shift over the course of that certification period. But once the canvassing board certifies the November election, 21 days after election day, then there are rules around when you actually will take office. So contact your district to arrange signing of the oath prior to starting your duties. The typical first day in office is January 1st, as you can see for most of these. But for any unexpired terms, positions will, for any expired terms, you'll take office after election certification. So again, that would be that November 25th, 2025. And then for any short plus full term positions, you'll take the oath of office upon certification in November, and then again in January, because that short term is from when the election is certified until January 1, and then the full term is from January 1 until the end of that term, whether it's a 2, 4, or 6-year term. So just some things to keep in mind. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to the jurisdiction for the office that you've run for. All right, and I'm just going to put this slide up here at the end for others that are watching this recording, that they can go find that information.